Very interesting. I didn't know that. That's
Oh, I read quite a bit.
he reads.
I don't read any, I'm going to tell you what I do. I mean, very few people know it.
Oh.
But I keep up with modern medicine, medical science,
Oh.
medical discoveries, different diseases.
I would never have known that.
Nobody knows that, and I've been doing it for a long, long time.
That's insane.
I get doctors' handbooks, the PDR, which is a physician's desk reference.
That's insane.
Things like that.
Why?
And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting because at one time when I got out of school, I thought I wanted to be a doctor or something.
Jeez.
In the medical profession. That's what I thought I wanted to be, but I didn't have money to go to college.
I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's made me so happy. It's because I would never have guessed that. Honest to God, I would never have guessed that he was even remotely interested in that. I would have had bets with people saying, "Oh no, Elvis ain't going to be interested in that." But no, it's like, damn, like I would have been in the medical profession if it was
what I thought I wanted to be, but I didn't have money to go to college.
No money.
But I got interested in it, and it's pretty interesting.
I'm so glad.
But I don't really
I'm so glad you went the musical route. Oh, we could have had Dr. Presley. We could have had Dr. Presley instead of the blooming Elvis. You know? Oh, can you imagine what the world would have been like if we had Dr. Presley instead of the king of rock and roll, you know?
In any of the books, much that other people read. Well, that I read, yes, and I read a lot of philosophy and some poetry. Have you ever heard of a book called Leaves of Gold? It's by different people. It's different men's philosophy on life and death and everything else. Well, that type of stuff interests me, to get these different people's opinions on different things.
Leaves of Gold.
You probably dated a powerful girl.
I would.
Barely hear this guy. I can barely hear the interviewer. He's like very drowned out.
Have you come to any conclusions about women generally?
Not.
You'll be 28 in January.
Well, I can only answer you by saying I'd like to get married. I'd like to have a family, but it's true. It's definitely true. Well, it's a normal thing to do. I mean, who wants to grow old and be alone? You know what I mean?
Who wants to grow old and be alone? You know what I mean? Yeah, we're all there with you, Elvis. Don't know what you're saying.
Well, that may be true. That may be true, but I can't say it's not. But they are. It's pretty lonely when you.
You're never lonely, you know. They get like 7,000 dames up there.
7,000 dames.
Yeah, but still, they can't live with you all the time, and there are times when you have to be alone in a room, and you need somebody with you.
You're alone in a room, and you need somebody with you. Yeah, Elvis. I mean, we all know that you could probably go outside for like 2 seconds, and you'd have like 1,000 girls on you. So, you know, but it's different when you're trying to find love, because it's like, sure, you got 2,000 girls out there who would jump on you in half a second, but do they actually know you as a person, or do they just know you, the celebrity side of you? You know, it's like, how many people actually know him? Not many. There's not many people on earth that actually know him. You know? There's a lot of no's in there, you know.
But I mean, I'm in no big hurry. I have June. Thanks.
You got to come on, go ahead.
But I'd like to. I'm in no big hurry. I have June. Thanks.
June next.
You got to come on, go ahead.
But I'd like to someday. But I mean, I'm in no big rush. I can't be. I have to take it easy and know for sure. You know what I mean?
You have to do it all over again. Will you do anything differently?
Oh, that's a good question.
No, I don't think so.
You think dating many girls, who else you want?
About girls?
Well, you know, naturally, you like to date. Of course, I used to date a lot more than I do now. I think the older you get, I think yeah, right, and the more you look for other things other than just dating a different girl every night. You look, you know, you'd like to meet a little more companionship.
Yeah.
Instead of dating a different girl every night.
I understand that.
Not necessarily, no. Of course, I don't make it a point to date girls in show business. You know, it's just according to the girl herself.
In a way, as I said, he could have a different girl every night, and you know, he could have done that for the rest of his life. I imagine, right? But it's like he's even now in 1962. He's got to that point now. He's like, I don't want this. It feels empty. I can understand where he's coming from with that, because it's like, it must have been wonderful when he was younger. It's like, because most guys are like that. It's like, oh yeah, you know, let's just jump into bed with you, especially if they're throwing themselves at you. And I mean, who's going to say no to that, right? But as you get older, you get a bit more wiser to it. And it's like, do all these girls actually love me for me, or do they love me for
fame and fortune? Wow, wow.
Doesn't show that you're trying to contact most of
barely hear this guy?
Well, it's a pretty tough. I mean, I can answer you, but it's, you know,
What he said.
there's some of them that they have motives, you know, and some of them they just want to date for the fun of it, you know, for the fun of dating.
That's what I just said, basically.
But as far as what you said earlier about being a handicap for one girl. Still, I think it would be better to find that one girl, you know, sometime. It's a thing that you can't rush. It's a thing that a lot of people think if they're not married by a certain age that they're losing out.
Do you think?
I don't think so myself, you know.
That's cool.
Of course, I'm not talking about everybody, because everybody's life maybe is a little different. But for me, I couldn't have rushed into a marriage, and I still can't. I have to be completely sure. I have to be able to trust them completely. I look for a lot of things now that I used to wouldn't have looked for. You know, I used to, with just certain characteristics, a sense of humor, their taste for different things, just a lot of things. Their understanding of me, and my way of thinking, you know.
Perfect woman.
It takes a while. I mean, it takes a while to find someone, to get to trust somebody.
Some people don't even find their perfect companion.
I've never really thought about it. You know,
That's why it's a good question.
there are men men who they don't. In so many words, they're not phony. There are men who knock you behind your back, and then they're your buddy to your face. You know what I mean?
What did he
And
ask?
I like a man who's pretty much the same all the time. He's pretty straight, you know. He's himself to a certain extent.
The other trouble with many actors in this business, I have found, is that they don't surround themselves with intellectual equals or intellectual superiors, so that there's nobody from whom they can learn, actually. They have guys on the payroll and so forth. I wonder if this isn't true of you.
I don't think so, because I've thought of this question before, and I've thought of this situation before, and I have my own way of learning, just as I've always had. I learn in my own way. I don't use these fellows to learn anything from.
This is in known self.
They're all different. They got their own little
It's the Elvis. You know, he can be.
kicks going. They got their own lives to lead, but
He can be the way he wants to be.
they're not dummies, by no means.
No dummies.
And I don't have them around because they're idiots. They're pretty smart boys, and they've learned a lot just being around this industry and
pretty
around traveling.
Sorry, Elvis. Pretty smart boys. I'm sorry, I spoke over the Elvis, so I brought it back.
And I don't have them around because they're idiots. They're pretty smart boys, and they've learned a lot just being around this industry and around traveling. But now you can surround yourself with intellectuals or people of your so-called equal, and you can have dissension. You can be jealous of, there can be a jealousy there, and that's bad. The only thing you can learn there is to become bitter and envy and everything else. Well, I have my own way of learning, and I learn from people. I learn from the people I work with. I learn from everyday life itself, being connected with a lot of different people. But now my private and personal life, I'm not trying to impress anybody by having a group of intellectuals around. It's not that I'm knocking, but now you can be fooled by having a group of people around you think you're learning something from, and you're not learning a damn thing. You're not benefiting anything from it. That's it.
It doesn't matter.
So you're.
It doesn't matter who your friends are, basically.
I don't think I'm making a mistake in that way. I have had this said to me before. Don't make the mistake. I had a girl to say to me one night, don't make the mistake, Elvis, of surrounding yourself with people you can't learn something from. And the girl never caught it, but I got up and walked away from her. I smiled and walked away. I never said a word.
Yeah.
But in so many words, I was saying, I can't learn nothing from you.
Wow.
So, and
I mean, who thinks like that? Like, honest to God, right? Who actually thinks like that? I'm only going to be friends. I'm only going to surround myself with people who I can learn from. You know, if everybody in the world thought like that, we wouldn't have no friends at all. There'd be nobody around you. You might have one friend. You know, you won't have your group, you won't have whatever, you won't have people you'd even want to be part of if you thought like that. There's there people out there who actually think like that? That is the question here. Is there people out there like that? Because if it is, that's sad. Very sad.
You can't.
Good on you, Elvis.
You can't fool yourself, hell. I have my own ways, I have my own ways of learning things. I have my own way of thinking, and nobody else, regardless of their intelligence or their belief, can change me or make me think a certain way if I don't feel that it's right.
Yeah, good for you, Elvis.
It's not an intellectual son of a gun walking the face of this earth that It can make me believe a certain thing or something, unless I really
You're
thought
your own
it.
person.
So I don't try to surround myself with a group of,
Yeah, good.
intellectuals.
Yeah, good for you. Good
It's
for
more
you.
important to try to surround yourself with people who can give you a little happiness, because you only pass through this life once, Jack. You don't come back for an encore. And I learn little by little. I gain experience. I learn, and I've had a pretty good lesson in human nature.
What would you say, Elvis, is a kind of basic lesson you've learned from living so far? What you've learned, either the hard way or the easy way.
Well, I'll tell you,
Couldn't hear it.
what I've learned might not apply to other people who are not in the same, who are not in living the way of life that I am, So
What
me put your
is
answer
stuff
then.
that's capable of,
Well, because of my age now, and the things that I've been through, the people and the situations that I've been exposed to, I've learned a lot about people, about life, about situations. It's been very beneficial to me, and that I have been able to help a few other people. And I have seen people in so many different situations. To give an example, a woman going through the change of life thinks she's the only one who's going through the change of life, or ever has.
Yeah, I admit that.
And it becomes to work on her mentally, that she thinks she's the only one. There's never been anybody else.
Suppose you were
Well, if you know, and if you've seen other people, and if you know it's a normal phase of life that everybody goes through, and like a lot of girls, but around the ages of between the age of 18, 22, 23, 24, a lot of them, if they're not married by then, they go through it seems as though that some of them go through a stage of uncertainty. They're searching for something, and they don't really know what it is, because a girl has reached a lot of maturity at that age, more so than a man. And they're searching for something, and
In a way.
a lot of them are miserable, and they're lonely, and they're depressed a lot, and they try different things. They go to other cities, and that don't work out, and they want to go home, and then this and that.
It's a very awkward time in like a young lady, young woman, girl's life. Yeah. It's like, but what? Why? It's like, okay, all right. Some of these questions were fantastic. Others are absolutely crap. Like fair play. Like some of the questions are like on point. It actually makes sense to ask him. But then others, I mean, why do we want to know this? Why do we want to know Elvis's interpretation of this, or what he thinks about Blooming going through the change? Why do we want to know that?
Well, I wouldn't like to stay in the same vein. I wouldn't like to be at a standstill. You know what I mean? I'd like to progress. I'd like to do a lot of things, but I realize that it takes time. You can't bite off more than you can chew in this racket. You can't go out of your your limitations. You have to know your capabilities, Like, I have people to say to me all the time, why don't you do an artistic picture? Why don't you do this picture and that picture? Why don't you do something? Well, that's fine, but I would like to. I'd like to do something someday where I feel that I've really done a good job, as an actor in a certain type role.
But that's interesting, because he's saying that he doesn't even mind at this point that people are setting him up with roles in films. It's like he doesn't sound like it's affecting him. This is 1962, so he had done quite a few films at this point. So that is quite an interesting snippet into his psyche at the moment. At this moment in time, he's still happy in what he's doing, and that's quite shocking, because I have heard in the comments that he didn't like this. So this is a bit contradictory. You're going to have to fill this in the comments and fill me in. Just fill me in. Try and explain this to me, please.
I feel that it comes with time and a little living and a few years behind you. I think that, really.
I love this guy's
And
accent.
I think that it will come
this.
eventually. I think that, really. And I think that it will come eventually. That's my goal. You have to have something. But in the meantime, if I can entertain people with the things I'm doing, well, I'd be a fool to tamper with it, to try to change it. I can't. It's ridiculous to take it on your own and say, well, I'm going to change. I'm going to apply. I'm going to try to appeal to a different type of audience. Because you might not. You might not.
So at the moment, it's happening.
And if you goof a few times, you don't get many more chances in this business. That's the sad part about it. So you're better off, if what you're doing is doing okay, you're better off sticking with it until just time itself changes things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I believe, really.
Just go with the flow.
Yeah, I like to work. I like to have a little time off, too, where I don't have to do anything, which I've had very little of since I've been out of the Army. But
Oh, wow.
these obligations and things I had to do. I had them.
Busy man.
Take care of yourself. You're, what are you, 170 now?
174.
I know. Girls are hell of a fat, too. I see it. Watch that. But do you watch your food? Do you watch your diet?
Yeah,
How do you do that? What, you eat health food?
Interesting.
I eat health foods and just try to use a little willpower and don't stuff, Because in this, in this business, especially and the movies, and the movies and everything, weight can be very bad for you. It can.
Yeah, people notice, because you do quite a lot of topless scenes, my friend. People are going to notice if you gain a little bit of weight. So you gotta eat them health foods and a little bit of willpower, according to him.
But I don't inhale. I don't even know how to inhale. It's just something to do with my hands, really. It's kind of a.
How about,
Wait, go back. I missed that.
Oh yeah, but I don't inhale.
No. Further back.
And the movies and everything, weight can be very bad for you. It can.
What's this?
you smoke much?
Do you smoke much?
Oh yeah, but I don't inhale. I don't even know how to inhale. It's just something to do with my hands, really. It's kind of a.
How about,
instead of biting my fingernails,
That's interesting. So he smokes a lot, but he doesn't actually inhale it. I've never heard that one before. That's a first. It's like I smoke, but I kind of don't. It's just something to do with my hands instead of biting my fingernails and stuff. Yeah.
Nervous energy. I mean, I'm not nervous in the way that I get scared or shook up. It's just that I'm just got a lot of nervous energy. I like to be doing something active.
You drink much? How much sleep do you
I don't sleep. I guess I get 4 hours a night, something like that, if I'm lucky. And I don't drink. I don't drink at all. Any alcohol.
So he don't drink, and he smokes, but he don't really inhale it. So he's pretty teetotal right now. He's clean.
Oh yeah, that puts a belly on you.
If you had to entertain now.
Drink it all. Any alcohol. Oh yeah, that puts a belly on you.
If you had to entertain now, would you do anything different?
If I had to entertain with one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're playing with the guitar, would you still do it differently?
I would do exactly what I feel or what I felt. I wouldn't I would make it a point to do something, do a certain thing. I've got to do just like I've always done, and going by impulse and just what I feel on the spur of the moment. That's the only way I can operate.
So,
as an entertainer or as a person?
It's not going to change then. As I said, it's not.
Well, naturally, I was 19 years old when I started out. So you get a little older, you learn a little more. You see things a little differently. You see people a little differently. You know, the usual things.
What's the last question that you want to explain? If you were a father and you had a son, you know, which I had, and you had to give him one lesson. Dad, listen, I want to tell you something about living, you know, all right. You know, just think for a minute. It might take a minute. What would you tell him? Just one thing.
If I had a son?
Yeah, that you've learned. What would you tell him?
Well, not having a son or not having a child or not knowing what it's like, I don't know exactly. But I think my biggest thing would be consideration for other people. The thing I was talking about, consideration for other people's feelings, because in doing that, you can keep yourself from becoming hardened and hard, you know, therefore making you, I think, a better human being. Really.
Be considerate to people. Be considerate, people. If he ever had a son, he had a daughter. I know that much. What an enlightening interview. Some of them questions were brilliant. Others were actually stupid. It's like, why would you ask him? You've got him for a good, 40 minutes, right? Why would you ask him stupid questions? There's so many stupid questions in there when you could have been asking him some really deep stuff, you know. There's so many questions you could ask and you didn't, and I'm gutted. I mean, I did learn some stuff though. I learned a lot, to be honest, about the way he is, the way he thinks, you know. And this is also the first time I heard him ever talk about his mother. So that was wonderful. That was horrible and wonderful at the same time. It's like, he obviously is still very hurt, and that was 1962. So it's still raw, even though it was a few years ago. At that point, it's still very hard, and you can tell. This interview was a banger!